Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Breakthrough Blueprint, where we talk to entrepreneurs about how they became successful today. And I have with me my amazing friend, Melissa, and I'll hand it over to her to introduce herself.
My name's Melissa Romiza, and me and Mel over here met through doing door-to-door solar. Man, 5, 6 years ago. Been a while.
Many moons ago, yeah, it was like right after COVID. And you were the last person I worked with, even though it was very brief before I stopped doing solar and I transitioned out of it. But it's awesome to see that you're still doing it, you're still killing it.
Yeah, I've been doing it. It'll be a decade next year, which is crazy to think about.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
So did you start your own company?
No, so how like it all started is like I started with a really big company, which is like how I believe everybody should start in solar is like go find a big company that pays you either per hour or per sit, just to, like get the reps in. And then so I started with Ion. I was with them for about a year and a half. Then met you at Click. I was there for about 4 years, and then I came in as an equity partner with Glide. They really needed somebody to help like build out the sales. They had all the software. They were really good at that part. They were really struggling with scaling their sales side. So came in as an equity partner, and now like we're in the position where other companies are trying to do roll ups with us and kind of in a sense give us equity of their company to make a company even bigger. So that's kind of where we're at. I never wanted the liability of owning my own company, but I always wanted to own part of it. So it's like, hey, I'm really good at selling. I'm really good at recruiting. You guys are good at everything else. Like, let's have you guys handle that and I'll handle this piece. And that's been working out now for the last couple of years.
Wow, that's awesome. So now are you still doing sales door to door? Or are you mostly just managing and training?
Oh, yeah, as of about a year ago, I kind of like I still go out and knock with the guys here and there, but like I have multiple teams now. So I am the one doing all of the work in the background. Like I handle, I would say 90% of the recruiting for the company. I handle all the interviews, I handle all the onboarding. In a way, I call myself like a glorified event planner because I am planning all the blitzes. I'm purchasing all the housing. I'm handling all the expenses. If there's outside software that we need, I'm the one talking to the software companies. I'm negotiating the deals, and then I'm making sure that my reps all have access to that.
Wow, that's awesome to see the transition that you've made and the growth that you had from being like, Golden Door winner. Cause how many times did you win that award?
So I got Golden Door twice. There's a third, like the year before I got my first two, I thought I hit it because I got like 111 installs and I thought it was 100 installs. And they're like, oh no, it's 130. And I was like, dang it. Like I felt robbed. Like you can't really see all my awards, but I got some Knockstar belts over there. My Golden Doors need to be hung up. I got a bunch of other awards over here. I just put together my office, so I'm working on hanging them all up where people can see them. But yeah, so two Golden Door awards. Two, I got Top Knockstar of Colorado, Top Knockstar in the U.S. I've gotten three industry awards, like Top Manager Growth. I've gotten Top Recruiter in the industry 2 years in a row. And then when I've won Solar Objections at SolarCon. I won a pretty big competition at Knockstars years ago called the Draft. And then I've won like top sales rep at my last companies, for the quarter, for the year, top office, all that stuff.
Love that. Love seeing
Yeah.
women dominate in a male dominated industry because like at first, like when I started solar, that was my first entry into sales and there weren't that many women at that time. I know since then that has changed a lot. And like how many women would you say are a part of your company?
I would argue that we probably have the largest female presence in solar, minus like Sunrun, probably.
Mhm.
Sunrun's got a lot, but for like mid-sized to small-sized companies and percentage of females in leadership, my leadership team is made of about 70% females, which has its pros and definitely its cons. Like we all have open throats. We all want to tell our opinion. Alex, who we met through, Alex is in my leadership group. I got Kayla Mooney. I've got Cass. Yeah, I've got a bunch of girls. Cass is actually meeting with another girl right now that we're looking to pull up into leadership. We have Gabby. So yeah, and then we got like 4 or 5 male leaders, but the rest are all girls.
Interesting. Wow, that's so amazing. I'm sure that
Yeah.
does change dynamics to a certain extent, right? Like maybe there's more open communication or
I would say that like we do a lot more of like the small things. Like when I look at, because we run a blitz model. So like I look at other teams and how they run their blitz model and they're like, yeah, if guys come in and they bagel, like we literally throw bagels at them. And I was like, I would literally have girls crying and running to their bedroom. Like I could never do that. So I would just say like, we're definitely like a little bit more thoughtful in like in the small things, right? Like we try to do little things for the people, like we checking in on them. You got a lot of girls. We all live together, so everybody is cycling at the same time. So understanding that as well is like a whole different dynamic that guys don't deal with. So yeah, I would say like the communication, like we probably over communicate, which is what we believe. Like as a leadership team, I think we meet more than what I see most leadership teams meeting on a blitz. We meet every single day for an hour. And most people meet with their leaders like once a week or bi-weekly. And I'm like, dang, we meet 14 times to 15 times a month. It's just to make sure we're always on the same page. But yeah, I'd say overall it's just like sometimes you have like a little bit more emotion in it for sure. But overall, like I've noticed like our girls definitely have like a lot of masculine energy. So even though they're girls, like they're always the top performers. My top closers were females this year. My top two setters were females. And we got tons of boys. Like overall, our entire team dynamic is made up of probably 65% dudes, 35% girls, but the girls are always in the top 20% of our production every year.
Absolutely love that. I think that's great. I think that's great that more women are getting to sales and it's, less of a bro culture because like I've been on so many sales teams at different industries now, like tech and aerospace. And like you're right with the communication part is a lot of times the communication is lacking and that's where the issues happen. It's like that is one of the most important parts of any relationship, whether it's professional or personal or romantic. And when that's not there, that's where the frustration happens. You it's better to over communicate than someone's frustrated and bottling it up and then something happens or the work slips through the cracks. So I think that's great.
Yeah, totally.
So how did you even get into solar? Like what did you do before sales?
So funny story. So I moved to Colorado to like go to school, and my dad passed away in 2016, and I just decided to drop out of school. And when I used to go home for the summers and work at like really really high end golf clubs, like private golf clubs, TGC courses. People are paying 100 grand to be members. People that own big companies like Dell, and they own diamond mines in Africa, and like crazy members, right? Like, and that's where I worked for a really long time. And after my dad passed away, I moved home and I like never wanted to be far away ever again for bad news. Like I just went to this state of like, I'm moving home. I have to take care of everybody, like provide, provide, provide. And I realized I was miserable. So I was like, screw this, I'm moving back to Colorado, tried to go back into school. And when I tried to get into the business school, they're like, no, you have a 2.935 GPA. You have to have a 3.0. And I was like, I have a 3.0. They're like, no, you took a pass fail black holes class, which is the hardest class I've ever taken in my life. E equals MC square. If you're walking by me, I'm walking by you. Our watches are moving at different paces. I don't know. I'm not a science girl, math girl. But anyways, they wouldn't let me into the business school, ended up dropping out towards the end. They put me in econ. And my mom basically was like, hey, you're not going to come home and live in my house and just work at the golf club and not go to school. Just like move back to Colorado and just like snowboard all the time. Like you're not doing that. And I was like, dang, what am I going to do? So I went on Indeed.com like any college kid does, and they start applying to jobs. And I got this job interviewed, and I forget what company it was for. And I went out to get tacos with my friend Claudia that night. And she was like, hey, did you look them up on Glassdoor? I was like, I don't even know what Glassdoor is. I just know I have an interview and it sounds like people get paid pretty well. So I'm going to go to it. And she's like, before you go to the interview, just because like I interview literally just to practice, you should read the reviews. So I go home, awful reviews. People are like, scam, 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 terrible. They tell you they're going to pay you well. Then we get treated like crap. And I was like, dang, I do not want to go here. So I just no show the interview. And like my mom knew I had the interview. So I got up at like 6 that morning, started applying for more jobs, and I applied for Ion Solar. Within me hitting like the confirm send application button, like within 5 minutes, I'm getting a phone call and they're interviewing me. And back then I thought it was like so prestigious to like get this sales job because they're like, you can make $100,000 to $300,000 year one. And I'm like, oh my God. So I passed my first phone interview, passed the second one. Then they have me come in person and I'm like all dressed up, super nice. And everybody's wearing like joggers and t-shirts.
Yep.
And they're like laughing at me and they're like, yeah, you're hired. Like, we'll hire you. And I didn't understand what was going on. And it wasn't until after I was hired that they told me it was door to door. And I kind of freaked out for a second. And I was like, I'm a girl. Is this safe? Do you guys actually make money? And they're like, oh, yeah, we make a ton of money. And I was like, really? And then they showed me the comp plan, which looked really, really good, as any company. $45 a sit, 40 a kilowatt, awful money for door to door. If there's a door to door rep listening to this, understand that you're so privileged right now and probably complaining because you're making $300 to $500 a kilowatt and you still want more money. I was making $45 to sit and 40 a kilowatt. So I had to sell about 10 accounts to survive. I got a bonus of $500 when I sold 4 accounts and a bonus of $1,000 when I sold 6. And there was like a little, if I sold 10, I got about $1,500 or like $2,000 in bonuses, which is enough to pay your rent in Boulder, which is where I lived. So worked my way up. I actually was terrible at solar when I started. I was setting like 4 appointments a day, but nothing was sitting. And luckily, like I was really good at saving my money. So like I had a cushion, which I recommend anybody just getting into sales in general, not just solar, whether it's insurance, whether it's solar, whether it's cars, whether it's real estate, you need to have a cushion or you're going to start working out of desperation. But I remember it was about a month in, I still hadn't had a sale and I was about to quit. I was at lunch at the same taco joint that I was with Claudia when she told me to go to the Glassdoor page. And we're all like kind of complaining and being like, dude, this sucks. Like none of us are making sales. And while we're eating, I had two sales go through. And I was like, oh my God, whoa, like that just changed everything. I'm not quitting. Like this is a great job. And then the next morning I had another one. So I had my first hat trick in 24 hours. And I was like, damn. And that's when I really started to get it. But I didn't have a ton of training when I started. They're like, hey, here's a script. You're going to come to the classroom for an hour. You'll shadow two people and then like, go get it. And I was like, what? Like, I don't even know how to use your app. I don't know how to, like, on a piece of paper, writing down the doors I'm going to back in the day. Right. And like now when I bring reps in, I'm like, when I look at how much support we give them, I'm like, if only you knew what I had to go through to get to where I'm at now, like you'd understand that like we're giving you everything that you could ever need and wish and dream of when it comes for support. So that's how it started. And it took me, I half-assed solar my first 2 years. Like I worked like 4 or 5 months, made like 40 grand my first year, thought that was good money for working like, you know, I think it was like 6 months actually. Worked like 6 months, made like 40 grand. Second year, worked like 7, 8 months. So I'd go home because I'm from the Cape. So I'd go home in the summer and I made like 80 grand. And then my third year is when I started making it, taking it seriously because I left that company and I made like 164 grand that third year. And then that's when I started getting coached. Or no, the next year I made like 300 something thousand dollars and then I got coached. And that's when I got paid out like just under $1 million. Still getting paid, honestly, kind of trash money in solar, but I was selling lights out like 30 to 40 accounts a month, 300 accounts a year. That's how I got all the awards. I just, paid to compete across the nation with doc stars. And then, yeah, now I'm here. I run teams because of all the awards I've gotten. It's been a lot easier to recruit. People know my name when people had no idea who I was. So when I walk into a door to door event, people greet me and they're like, oh my God, I watch you on Instagram. I watch you on TikTok. I love your content. And I'm just like, yeah, sweet. Like that's awesome. And it's given me a platform now to recruit from, which is pretty cool.
Love that. There's so many things that I want to say, but like, was Knockstar the first thing that you did?
That was my first investment. And then after that investment, which like at the time, I can't remember if you were in Knockstars or not, but at the time it was expensive. It was like a $20,000 investment. And it was the first time I'd put my credit card down and been like, hey, I am here to invest into myself. So at that point, I saw so much success from investing into myself. I started investing into everything, which like, if anyone's listening to this, like make sure you find the right coach. Just because it looks really shiny, don't always invest. Yes, invest into yourself. But I started buying like courses with Sam Taggart and courses with all these people. And I tried to do like 3 different coaching things the next year. And I was like, oh my God, this is almost too much. I'm on a coaching call 2 times a day, plus my team meetings, plus I got to close, plus I have my leadership calls, plus my quarterly meet. And it was just like a lot. So like biggest piece of advice would be like hone in on one coach for, at least a year or 2 years and then like go to the next level, right? Like I got sales down. Like now I'm looking for like high level coaching for leadership, right? Like how do I keep my team? How do I have an unrecruitable culture? Like things like that. Like that's the next level. But yeah, Knockstars was the first thing I like invested into for myself.
That Love that because Danny is the one who got me into door to door solar, and he and I went to elementary school together. So it's just funny. Like I love having this full circle moment. I'm definitely getting more people from the solar industry on my podcast now, and it's just so crazy to see. Like I have Suli on either next week or the 2 weeks from now, and like to see what she's doing now. I don't think she's even doing door to door anymore because she's invested so smartly. And that's something else that I wanted to talk to you about is like, what are things that you've invested in, or what's your like perspective on investing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually am in an investment thing with Suli. Great lady. So I do some stuff with Suli. I have 3 properties. IRA, high yield savings. Now I'm looking into get into things like Cypher. Cypher, all those guys came from door to door. It's an automated trading app, but basically teaching at the end of the day, like there's so many great things to invest into. There's syndicates, there's real estate, there's funds that you can invest into. As a 1099 person, like my mind is, I've been trying to learn from Sully of like, what are the tax benefits of me investing into this thing? Because there's great benefits, right? Of like investing in funds, but there's no tax benefit to like lower my taxable income. That's where real estate is a beautiful thing. Investing into rideshare, things like that. So this year will definitely be a big investing year, but it's like I have so many great investing opportunities that I kind of am like trying to slow my roll right now to be like, okay, is this going to make me pay less to Uncle Sam? Because one year, the year I made almost $1 million, I wasn't investing enough money and I paid over $100,000 in taxes. Not fun. So since then, I've been a lot smarter investing into real estate, making sure like, there's like little hacks like put money in an HSA, put money in a 401k, put money in an IRA. Those are all tax deductible. So there's a lot of those things. But I'd say right now, like the majority of my money is tied up in real estate. I've probably invested over $500,000 in the last 3-ish years since being in door to door, and I wouldn't have those investments if it weren't for door to door. And now I can kind of ramp that stuff up. But yeah, I mean, great. There's so many opportunities. As you know, I'm sure you get hit up about this investment, that investment, and you really have to be smart about it of like, okay, like, yes, I get a return. How much taxes am I going to pay on that return if I don't lower my taxable income in other ways, like depreciating assets and things like that?
Definitely. Hear this story a lot with people I talk to. It's like there isn't we're not taught in school, most of us aren't taught in school about taxes, right? Or about these tricks and loopholes and things that you can do legally to reduce your tax liability. But it's super important because a lot of people in sales or whatnot will make a lot of money and they'll either blow it on a fancy car or a Rolex because there's that golden era during solar a few years ago when everyone was making a ton of money. People were doing unethical things to make those big solar commissions and they were blowing it on this lifestyle. But yeah, I think just learning how to manage money, learning how to do your taxes, get a good tax accountant, CPA to help you with all those things. They're all super important things, not because it's not just about earning the money, it's how do you save it and grow it. But that's awesome that you sounds like you have a lot of people around you. Suli's great. I think she leads a course or a meeting every week about investments that I've been wanting to talk to her about also. But do you manage all of your properties yourself?
No. So this property I'm in right now, I've house hacked this one. So I have 3 roommates here. They pretty much pay my mortgage, and then my other house that I manage is also house hacked. I give one of my tenants actually who works for Jens, who's in the door-to-door space. I've made her like my property manager, and I just give her a little bit lower rent. So if anything goes wrong, she kinda helps me manage that property because she lives there. And then my one in Utah is 100% hands off. I was just a cash cow. I had the cash to put down on it. They handle everything from property management to taxes to like if you need to have attorney fees, keeping tenants in my house. They handle all of that and I just cash flow on it. I get to take the tax benefits every year and that property has done great for me. It's not only cash flowing me, but it's appreciating. I think everybody when they think of real estate, there's like all of this money and cash flow and there's actually really not a ton of cash flow, but appreciation is everything. So like you have to look at certain markets like, hey, if I'm not appreciating a ton, then you should be cash flowing a decent amount. But if you're appreciating a ton, your cash flow doesn't need to be as high because you're building equity in that asset. So there's a couple different ways. But yeah, so 2 of them I manage myself, one of them I don't. I honestly want more hands-off real estate just because like I've got so many things going on. And it's funny because I have this rep named Kayla. She's a top producer. She kills it. She's got a golden door too. And she's like, oh, we can do this. And like, we'll get more. You gave up 25% ownership of your property and like, we can make more money. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm getting like off market deals, 4% owner finance doesn't touch my DTI. So it like really just depends on your perspective of what's the best thing for how you invest because my strategy probably isn't your strategy. And that's okay. Like we don't have to have the same strategy.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's something more people need to realize in just investing. And Suli's a great coach. Like I get access to those calls every week. She has them every Sunday. You can learn about, Section 8 housing, gold, silver, everything from IRAs to 401ks to HSAs to real estate to rideshare to storage units, all of that stuff, right? And it's for a group of people that do this trading thing with her. And because of that, she also just brings so much value to the table to like provide for so many people. And it's because she wants to help people. Like Suli is somebody I really look up to. I always have since I got in the door to door industry. I've chased her. I've wanted to be like her. I hold so much respect at a high regard for her. And I think a lot of girls in the space, and not even just girls, but just a lot of people do because she's earned her keep time and time again.
Definitely 100%. Yeah, I love to see everything that she's done. Like she has a beautiful family. She's able to stay home more with them now that she's not in the door-to-door space and she played the game smart. Like I'm sure she had this plan the whole time to exit at a certain point and to build up her investments and it's really really remarkable and yeah, definitely respect her. And you're right, like your investment strategy fits your lifestyle and maybe other people want to, have more cash in their pocket and they're willing to spend more time actually managing it, actually living there, fixing the issues or whatever it is. But I'm more like you, where it's like I'd rather spend my time doing, the activities that are going to make me more money that I'm super passionate about. I'm not passionate about managing property, but I see the value in real estate and would love to do something you're doing. How did you find out about that Utah real estate investment?
So my last owner, he was just trying to deploy cash to
Hmm.
lower his taxes, and I was making enough money where he was like, "Hey, you're finally making enough. Like, I want to introduce you to some like higher level things." And he introduced me to this guy named Kyle Tucker. If you want to, happy to make an intro. Great guy, fantastic opportunities, whether you want to invest into funds, real estate. He always has different deals going on. Some of his deals, like you just have to have cash ready to deploy, and some don't, right? Like I met him through my last owner, and I've had nothing but a fantastic experience with him. He set up the LLC, he set up the bank, he handles literally everything. And like, yes, I gave up 25% ownership of my property for him to do that, but he has skin in the game to make sure we're always profitable. And he knows real estate better than I do. His real estate portfolio is like over $125 million, and mine's four or $5 million, right? Like it's not super high. All my properties are worth over $500,000. This one's probably my highest valued home, probably close to like $800,000 now. I didn't go and buy the fancy $2 million house right off the rip. And that's down the road. But yeah, I met him through my last owner. I think the door to door space, and probably something you've learned, has a really good way of connecting people to other opportunities to grow your money, which I think is why door to door is so fantastic. Cause even if you're not, seeing the results you want right away, you can really build your network. And that's something I've loved that's kept me in door to doors. Like every year, I'm able to meet higher and higher level people that have the things that I want.
Yeah. I love that. That's so great, and that's what I loved about sales in general, and even doing this podcast is what I've realized is, like, when you're in the business of helping people and serving people and interacting with people, that's where the money is just through knowledge and connections and referrals, and it's been super great, and just being able to stay in touch with people easily through Instagram. Sometimes now I'll just cold DM someone I want on my podcast through Instagram, especially if I can learn something from them. And I'm trying to learn about more investment opportunities. And it sounds like I'm amazed at how much you're able to manage at once. Like you're managing a whole team and organization and blitzes and all this stuff and these investments and constantly networking with people. Like it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a method to the madness, but there's ways to like do a ton of hands-off investments, right? Like I got a wealth management team and like I was just like, "Hey, here's my 401k, my IRA, like it's over 6 figures now. Like I need somebody that has recession protocol. Like if we go into recession, you're watching my account to put it into a cash account and like you know where to put the money." I don't know that stuff, right? And Suli believes the same thing, that like she might not be the smartest when it came to investing, so she pays people to like keep her money in check. And that's something I've always taken to heart, that like I'm always willing to pay. I see value in paying people to help me reach like other levels. Like I pay somebody $200 a month to manage well over 6 figures of money. Like that is worth it every day. When just one shift in the market, I could lose 30, 40, $50,000, So, but yeah, that's just stuff I've learned over time. And like, I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but like every year I inch closer and closer to that person. And that's the biggest thing.
So cool. And well, to change gears a little bit, like you've been solar for now 10 years, right? And do you plan to stay for a while? Like I know the industry has changed a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Like you see a lot of people switching over to fiber right now. I think fiber is like the hot commodity in the market. What I do love about solar right now is all the bad actors are leaving. Financiers have stepped in big time. They are kicking people off the platform saying, "I've got too many escalations from you. You can't use us to lend." We have a background check now. We have recheck. States are making you get licenses. California, Nevada, Texas, some of the best states to sell in require you to get a license. Every year, the lenders are doing recheck on you. So what that's done is, yes, it's driven a lot of people out of the industry, where markets now are way less penetrated, because back in the day, everyone is in solar. You're the ninth person to knock on my door. You don't really see that anymore. So like my biggest thing is like, yeah, I'll be in solar for at least the foreseeable next 4 or 5 years. I will exit with a company. That's been the biggest thing, is like, I want to be a part of an exit. And on the side, like there's something working right now. Like, I don't know how much you know about the solar industry, but if I keep going in the trajectory that I am, I will have access to own software like Callpilot, which is huge. Sunrun uses that software. It's our company software. GoodLeap uses our software, the biggest lender in the space, not only in solar, but they do mortgages and a ton of other things. Aptiv, the biggest pest control company, they're using it. So it's not just about solar. Once again, it's about the connections, bringing value to other organizations. And in order to keep you, they have to provide value back. and they're like, "Hey, we'll give you a piece of X, Y, and Z." So in a way, I will always be tied into door to door. And the business partners I have now, I see myself doing business with them for life, whether we go into life insurance or whatever down the road. But for right now, solar is still a fantastic opportunity. I think it's gotten a lot of flack over the last couple of years, and I think everything's just about perspective. Like some people think solar's dead and it sucks, and like I still think it's great that you can go knock on somebody's door in California, make $20,000 off of a sale. Yeah, you put 10 hours in to knock those doors and close the deal, but like there's not many opportunities where you're going to make like $2,000 an hour, even in whatever opportunity it is. I think any opportunity in sales is a great opportunity. It's just about how you view it. So yeah, I'm not where I want to be investment wise. So until then, like I'm going to stick and stay and make it pay. And, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's green where you water it, is what I believe.
I love that. I think that's so awesome. And yeah, I've sort of been hearing about what's going on in the industry from an outsider's perspective, but it's great that these companies and organizations that weren't doing right by people, whether it was their own employees or customers, and because I've been hearing about so many lawsuits and things, like I'm glad those people are out of the industry because it sucks to deal with a homeowner or hear a story of the fact that they're still paying a huge electricity bill and a solar loan and they can't get the panel serviced or whatever it is. But and I see that there's leaders like you doing doing things the right way and leading from the front and are going to continue to do that. So that's awesome. But I guess just to wrap things up then, do you have any advice or yeah, words of motivation for anyone who wants to do what you're doing, get into sales, be an entrepreneur and investor?
I would say the biggest thing is bet on yourself sooner and never, ever be afraid to invest in yourself. I would say invest in yourself before you start investing into like real estate and other things, because I promise the ROI on you is way higher than real estate. It's higher than crypto. It's higher than every investment that I have that I've personally seen. And that's something I see people are like, oh, coaching is too expensive. It's five, six, seven, eight, 10, $20,000. And I promise you that that investment will pay you dividends for your life to make sure that the future investments give you the returns that you need. So I'd say the biggest thing is invest in yourself first, invest in all the other assets second, so that way you can manage your portfolio the proper way.
That. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's so nice to see you. Hopefully, we're able to run into each other down in Texas.
Definitely for sure. And for everyone else, thank you so much and tune into the next episode of the Breakthrough Blueprint.